I thought I moved out of Philadelphia to get away from Mr. Softy, but apparently
Mr. Softy
he's followed
chases
me.
you. Yeah, it's that will never go away.
What is up, everybody? Episode 528, and it's just Eric and Owen. That Garrett
Who are those
guy, what the
guys? Yeah,
hell?
it has been. It feels like it's been forever, just because of how everything lined up. Because
Yeah.
you were out on the Craig Trumbauer show, and then
Oh, that's right. So me
yeah.
and you haven't talked in a
Oh
while.
yeah. You were out on the
Wow.
Craig Trumbauer show, so I had to do that one with Keith and Rob, and then
which was a fantastic show, by the way.
Oh, thank you. You can't tell I was nervous.
Way to keep the torch going.
Holy Christ! And that was we talked about it, that I was getting ready to tell you that day. I'm like, dude, you got the Craig show. I'm not feeling it. And then you were like, I can't breathe and I'm dying. I'm like, God damn it! I guess I better.
Trumped you.
I guess I better start feeling it awful quick. So yeah, it was.
So April. So one of the topics we're going to get in tonight is burnout, and April's been a rough month for NPR, Eric, Owen,
basic, all of it, everything,
the network, the podcast, keeping up with everything, Patreon, all this stuff. So
breeding, everything was
breeding, animals,
everything
carpet fest. That Owen made me agree to do.
Yeah, it was. I thought about that last week, and I'm like, oh, yeah.
The world itself.
Yeah.
So we figured that we would kind of talk about it and talk about our experiences, because I mean, I know we've mentioned it. Other podcasts have mentioned it, but I've never heard like an in-depth discussion about it, because I think it sort of has like a negative thing to it.
If you say it too many times,
then you're afraid it's going to come true.
Then you do it. Like, then it's on you.
Yeah.
Then it's your problem. You have to deal with it. So I don't know why I'm getting congratulated. I did nothing.
Well, that's the other thing that we're going to talk about is we're going to talk about rough scale pythons.
I don't know why.
And finally, yes, congratulations, my friend. You are just crushing it when it comes to
I think I told Mike Curtin
breeding
last week. I think I said I really have to stop succeeding, because people are going to start thinking I know what I'm doing, and I can't have that.
What you're doing, man. You know what you're doing. I said, so I was on
I did listen. I was on you. I did listen. Like, what are you doing? Me. I'm like, I'm listening to Eric talk.
Yeah.
Don't you do that enough? No, I haven't done enough recently.
Yeah. But wait a minute. It's different when one of us is not there and we're not on NPR. It's different.
It's weird.
It's just different. It's a different thing. So for people that don't know, I was on Jeremy Warfel's Morphosis, his YouTube channel. So he's a guy, he's kind of like, he started with ball pythons and he's starting to branch out a bit, and he got into carpets, and he just got a jungle clutch, and he's sort of getting into carpets and whatnot. So he wanted me to come on and talk about carpets. Why would he want me to come on and talk
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah. But so there's that. So I don't know. Do you want to talk about the rough scales first, and then we'll go into the burnout thing? Or do you want to talk about the burnout and then go into the happy stuff?
Let's save the happy stuff for after. Let's end on a good note. Because this is going to be just like constant beating is what I feel like this episode is going to be. So all right. So I guess we'll just get right into it. For it,
burnout. What does that mean? What is burnout? Burnout is like when basically you overextend yourself because you're excited, which we all get. I
mean, I also think it's like you lose the excitement and the draw.
Yeah.
And you kind of fold back in and you kind of take a step back. And the problem is that, say I was a painter, like I could, or a car guy, I could just stop for a little bit. The car's not going to drop dead because, so the problem with reptile burnout is that's when you start having problems with the collection's health.
Yep.
And a small step back could become a huge problem. So, say you're not feeling it and you take a step back, and then a favorite animal dies because of that step back, then you just kind of it spirals and it can be pretty bad. And we've seen people just kind of ditch things. That is a lie.
I agree with you, Lisa. That's what that one's getting put up there.
I am not quietly gunning for Ryan Young's spot. I have constantly said that I want to be Ryan Young when I grow up numerous times. So
it's nothing quiet about
this. It's not quiet about it. I've told it several times.
Yeah, that's a perfect thing, right, Owen? It's the whole idea that, like, if you get into a hobby, if I'm playing guitar and I feel like, this week I just don't feel it.
Just don't play. Burst into flames because you didn't touch it. Yeah,
right.
So,
but when you're dealing with live animals, it's a whole nother level. So let's see.
And it really, when you get to something like my level of animals, it is a second job because you get off work and you have to get downstairs and you have to do like your several hours of cleaning. So it can be difficult. And recently I've had more days where I'm sitting on the sofa and I'm like, I turn to Melissa and I'm like, tell me I have to go downstairs and clean. Like, and she's like, you have to go downstairs and clean. I'm like, okay. And then I force myself up and go downstairs. Yeah. Like, and that happens sometimes.
Yeah. I don't know if I don't know, man. Maybe I'm going through like, as I'm getting older, getting close to 50. I don't know if this is like what happens in 10 years from now, Owen. You can tell me if you went through the same thing, but like 10 years, right?
I will be 37 in June.
Oh, geez, it's like 15 years. We'll be retired before that, man. Yeah, we will be way retired before that.
That is done. Yeah.
So I kind of look at like, what's the stages of a keeper, right? When you're first getting into it, you're excited. You want one of everything, and you jump in and you get this, I call it the Noah's Ark phase, where you just like, everything you see is cool, and everything you see you want, and everything you see you're like, oh, I could breathe this, and and then your mind is going, and you got all these plans, and everything is good. But I think if you do it too fast, like the perfect example I use is, and we're going to use me and Owen as examples throughout.
We're wonderful examples of what not to do in constant things. Yeah.
When I first got into carpet pythons, I don't know what it was. It was genuine excitement, right? It was genuine, wanted to, I guess it's like wanting to sort of be legitimate. I guess with, doing NPR, I felt like I kind of have to, these kind of go hand in hand, right? I can't get on and talk about breeding carpet pythons if I've never bred carpet pythons. And then, I can't talk about, breeding this subspecies, that blah, 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 whatever the case would be, if I don't have it, right? And then as you're going down that, you're sort of looking at it, and I'm sort of saying, okay, well, maybe I could do this as a full-time gig. Maybe I could approach this as something like that. Maybe it's something that, like, I can sort of like grow into. So, I think at the time when I was getting into it, it was like legislation was hot and heavy, importation, all the stuff that we all talk about happening. And so you jump on these things because you feel that opportunity is not going to come again. Right. Next thing you know, you have a 200 animal collection,
right,
and working 60 hours a week. I mean, and that's not even counting the podcast stuff.
Yeah.
How do you do that? It was a lot easier for me when NPR, it was just NPR. You know what I mean? And there was no editing. Blog Talk just did it, And now it's a whole different thing, because not only is it NPR, it's 8 other podcasts that float around, and it's like trying to balance this time. You gotta record it, you gotta edit it, you gotta,
the Spring Store,
and like we fought Patreon for so long, and it was simply because I didn't want to obligate myself to something I couldn't commit to
Right.
And I feel that in April we did that. And that
Right.
really like
That really is
it
annoying.
really bums me.
Yeah.
And I don't know what I was going through, but I was like really fucking depressed in April.
Yeah.
Like I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was something in the air. I don't know what it is.
I think maybe if it would kill Pennsylvania to just warm the fuck up and we could like actually
Get
like
outside.
enjoy outside and like maybe that's the problem is like it's April. It's May now and it's like 30 degrees outside. It's like, will you not get the fuck off?
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know.
I got 2 puppies recently. I'm sure that doesn't add to the
The chaos. Oh
to
yeah,
make anything easier.
Yeah.
So there's that going on. And then I got to tell you, man, work is just a total shit show, and people just suck. And it just it really, I guess, when you're constant, must be like what cops go through, right? To a certain extent, like they're just seeing nothing but negativity all day, and the worst of people. Like just the absolute worst of people. And you're just like, is the human race even good? Like, I don't even know. I don't know. You start to have these questions go through your head. And then it's like, I don't know. That's sort of where I was for the month. And I think doing that podcast on Sunday, I sort of like got the juices going again.
And that's the problem is we've had points where you're not feeling it or I'm not feeling it. And then we kind of help drag each other up.
Yeah.
This is probably in the first time where we both weren't feeling it at the same time.
Yes.
It's like, oh crap. Like that was like, I'm like, hey man, I'm not sure if I can do this. You're like, me either. I'm like, shit. Like,
yeah.
Oh no, that wasn't the right response. Like,
it's usually if one of us is down, the other one's like, come on, man, it's not that bad. It'll get better. You're just going through a rough time.
Oh crap. It's like, now we got to outsource this. Like, I mean, yeah. So
I think my burnout of a big collection started with the Carpet Fest mite thing.
Yeah.
That took a toll on me that, like, God, man, I would not wish that on my worst enemy.
I've been in that kind. I was never. It wasn't as large of a collection as you had at the time, and extensive, because I think at that point you still had the Sri Lankans and some of the other big things too that were. So it wasn't that big, but I've had mites. So it was like, I think it was one point where I'm like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put everybody on mulch, and then. Like 2 months later, everyone had mites, and I'm like, holy shit. So I wasted my money on mulch. So yeah, and we get these great ideas, right? And we're just like oh, that was dumb. Next, like
I don't know if this is going to be good or not. I hope people don't judge, but we're sort of like we're being honest, right? This is what we're doing. A lot of times this will sort of be filtered to a certain extent, but we're just going to be straight,
right? I mean, I feel most of herpetoculture is filtered. There's always you always show the successes. You always show that you got this clutch, you got that clutch. Like people are like, oh, and you freaking killed it last year. I'm like, yeah, but there is 15 animals that I tried to breed that no eggs happened. Like so that happens. Like we don't focus on the downside. So what happens is that you think you're the only one this is happening to. And you're not. You're not at all. Like you and I have both had animals just drop dead out of the blue. We both have animals that we absolutely freaking loved keel over for no reason. We've played find the smell in our ink in our room. We've had clutches that looked great, bomb and just gut punch you. I mean, whatever terrible thing you've had in herpetoculture, I guarantee you we've experienced, if not the same thing, close to it.
Yeah, I think this is why I say things like, work with what you love and work with, don't worry about what the market is and this and that and all this stuff. I think just the hobby in general, I'm talking about like the mainstream hobby, not necessarily our niche in the hobby or whatever, like I kind of feel like I've seen things from people that I just wouldn't have expected to be in those situations. And it's just disappointing. And then it's disappointing when people cover for bad things. because of who the person is. You know what I mean? It's like,
Right.
oh, and that's why I say things like, I don't think the hobby polices itself 100%.
Oh, hell no.
You know what I mean? I don't
No,
believe that.
If you're popular enough, or if you've made enough friends, it seems like you can do whatever you want, because then your core group of people will come to your defense, and they'll also just kind of smash down people who maybe speak out against you.
Yeah.
So,
and I could just be getting old, man. It could be that I'm just getting old, and this is just the journey you go on, right? And I think who was it? Yeah, Ish said that it's a journey. Yeah, it is 100%. And I guess we're gonna share that a little more intimately, I guess, if you will, of the journey of what V&O and have kind of been going through for a while. I mean, I kind of like, I had the situation with the mites, and it was like, oh my God. And even in that, I kind of, if I'm being honest, I was kind of disappointed that here I am opening up my house to people to come over and try to bring the community together. And I just had one rule. Yeah. And people just, maybe I'm old school, man, but like, if I'm showing up to somebody's house and this is what they had, what they asked, right? I would follow that rule.
Right.
I don't understand. It's like, you don't get a pass because you're so. Like, what the? Owen's not even bringing animals here. Like, if anybody's going to get a pass, it's going to be Owen. You know what I mean?
And that's what chaps me, is the people like, are you bringing stuff? No. Well, aren't you going to like Brenda? No. Like, no. Why would I do that to him? Why would I, like, what? No, I'm not going to set up a table in his backyard and be like, rogue animals for sale. Like, that's not the point of this.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So that really sort of sent me on this, you know, and then I trying to manage that, you know, it's like, how can you breed your animals when they're going through this? You know, they're going through this stress. You just can't.
You cannot. Because that's basically, you kill the mites by poisoning their food, which is your animals. Adding more non-poisoned animals is like, and then the frontline thing, right? This is another thing that kind of like really, you know, everybody says how great this stuff is, and it's like the greatest thing ever. And then I can't be careful with that.
I killed three snakes that were real important to me.
Yep.
Because of using that. And like, I you know, you sort of always use those type of things with some caution and stuff. Right. And you know, you always have to be careful. And I'm not blaming anybody for it, but it doesn't change the fact that animal is no longer here. You know what I mean? So
mean, and I've touched on this a few times, and I am guilty of it as always. The reptile community is terrible about medication and
we are
and what is good for an animal, dosing. I mean, all you have to do is start talking to your friends, and I guarantee you there's several people who are like, I get my drugs from like a horse supply company, and I just somebody told me to dilute it this much. And I'm like, well, that's not correct, right? There is, and I will accredit this to my wife 110%, because I would have done the cowboy fly-by-night medication bullshit where she's like, we're going to sit down and we're going to see if the snake can have this drug. And I'm like, oh, they can't have certain drugs? She's like, you fucking moron. Like, it's like, and there's a whole book, and she has this whole thing. Like, if we have a sick snake, she goes through all these different things just to diagnose what it could have. And that's why we have to get stuff cultured, because of what certain things are susceptible and aren't susceptible to. And there's a bunch of different medications with that crap. So all of that. And then on the back end, it's like, well, just draw up the full syringe of Baytril and stick it into their spine. It's like, holy shit. Like it.
Yeah. It's, you're right. I mean, that's kind of, we kind of do that.
It's just that we just suck at it. We just suck at it.
And then, you know, when we're talking about this is what we do, I feel a certain sense of responsibility to people that we're telling these things to. And like, I don't take that lightly. And, you know, I don't know. I just feel like if that happened to somebody else because they're listening to NPR and this is the advice that we're given, and, you know, I know, again, we're dealing with live animals and everybody understands that they can not be live anymore, that kind of thing. And I guess not finding terrible options for vet care. Yeah, here's the thing I'll say about vets, and if you can find your vet a vet, like I think of Dr. D, right?
Yeah.
I mean, how great that guy is.
Dude, I have a veterinarian up here that it took me a while, but I was taking animals down to Dr. D because I couldn't find a vet up here that did reptiles. They finally got one at a vet office like 5-10 minutes down the road. So it's there if we need it. But it's like I think there were certain ones. I think I found it through USARK. They had a thing you could type in your zip code and they could find a vet with a reptile experience. I think it was USARK, or I know
there
that
was
Bradley had that.
What's that site? Yeah, Bradley Waffa, right?
Yeah, Bradley Waffa had that thing where he was like, you could find a vet for a while, or he was even taking ones he could ship. So, I mean, they're out there, and yeah, it sucks. You might have to drive a couple hours or something like that for it, but
yeah, and then it's frustrating when you're going for something and like, you go there and they're not really giving you anything other than what you could have done yourself. And I think
that's annoying. And that's the problem. It's trial and error, because I did go to a vet once up here who said they had a reptile experience, and they asked me if I was misting them every day. And I said, no. And they're like, well, they need misting every day. I'm like, it doesn't rain every day in Australia. And they're like, what? I'm like, it doesn't rain every day in Australia. So
it doesn't.
Yeah. Shut your mouth. Like, and that,
yeah.
And
I
never went back to that vet. Like, I never went back to that vet. So yeah, it sucks. It's going to be trial and error. So yeah.
AVRAD. That's what it is. Yeah, that's it. That's right, Scott. Yep. Yeah, I guess Alabama, you don't really. Yeah, luckily up here, I guess in the Northeast, you kind of there. I mean, you might have to drive a while to get to it, but you can find.
I feel like reptile vets are like horse vets. You might have to drive for a little bit, or your options may be kind of up there if you're not depending on where you live and what your options are. But yeah.
So I think for me again, something that I've struggled with over, say, the last year is like when you do a lot of herping, you see these animals in the wild, and if I'm keeping them in racks or I'm not keeping them in the cages that are big enough,
right?
Am I really doing the animal? And then this is just me personally, I'm not judging anybody, but like, should I cut down the collection and have better caging? Should I keep only what I can keep and keeping under these standards per se, and that's difficult balancing that when you're you got breeding projects and this and that, and
breeding projects, a global pandemic. I'm like, there was a lot of, there's a lot of stuff.
It's been a shitty couple of years, man. So, I mean, let's be fair.
I mean, you were kind of getting out of it, I think, at the height of when your work was becoming Mad Max Fury Road, which is like, I could not blame you for it, because you were like, I'm pretty sure I saw a knife fight in the freezer section. And I'm like, holy shit.
Man. My work is insane, man. People getting shot out inside in the parking lot, when we went through the riots, and, I'm like, I never thought in a million years running a supermarket would
I don't understand.
It would be this, but it is what it is. You got to do what you got to do.
I think it was the one time where you were like, I'm going to be late. We just got robbed. Get to the show this week. I have to fill out a police report. We just got robbed. I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, we get robbed all the time. Like people stealing, but like physically,
like with a gun
pointed at you, we're robbing you.
Yeah, there's a difference between
there's a little bit of a difference.
5-finger discount at the supermarket, and I have a gun. Like
and it's funny, right? I think the nurses and the medical people probably went through the same thing at the beginning of the pandemic. We were heroes, right? Thanks for being on the front line.
Thanks for opening up and doing your thing. Now they're like, fuck you. Where's the water that I like? What?
6 months in, they're like, I don't care that the distribution chain is cut off. where the hell are my Oreos?
What was the recent one where it's like the Philadelphia water has latex and stuff in it? They're like, I want the bottled water that I want. Motherfucker, you have two options here. You
Water?
will buy this
No water.
bottled water or die. Like,
right. Yeah, that's true. But I think so. I was going to say this before we sort of got derailed a bit, but the one example I always use is like as I was buying up like these different projects and morphs and this and that and all this stuff. You were sort of just working on specific ones, right? You sort of had the caramel one that you sort of said, okay, this is going to be the one I had my flag in.
I had my coastal projects, which ranged from tigers and whatever, but then I also had the main focus was caramel, and caramel kept bleeding into everything else. But then I had those other ones where it'd be nice if they would breed, kind of like white lips and shit, where it's like you try, but you don't ever expect things to happen.
And even with those projects, right? I mean, just think about it. I mean, Owen, how many times have you gone through? How many times have you talked about, should I get rid of these white lips? Keep these white lips.
The problem is that, and that's the problem is that
taking up cage space, they're not producing eggs.
We'll talk about further back when I would have these instances of burnout, I'd start selling things.
Yeah.
And then I'd get back like rejuvenated and get back into it, and I'd be buying shit again. The only times I've sold and then replenished my corn snake collection, so I never got out, but I would be like, no more corn snakes, no more Cal Kings, and then I'd be in it and I'd be like, oh, I miss my Cal Kings and my corn snakes, and I'd buy them again, or I'd sell. I had a captive born and bred trio of gold-faced white lips that I was raising up, and I got into one of those things, and somebody caught me on the right time, and they convinced me to sell them, and I sold them, and immediately regretted it. They left. I dropped them off at FedEx, and I almost turned my car around and went like, no, give me my box back. It was that bad, and I did it because the justification in my head is I have these two older captive born and bred animals, and you know what? They'll be the ones that'll do it.
Yeah.
And then the female died the year later. So then I went from having a great core project, to one male. And I'm like, holy shit. So that kind of got it in my head of, if you're ever feeling like you're going to burn out and you're going to sell it, you need to be happy with the fact that the whole project has to go. Don't keep a piece of it.
No.
Because if you keep a piece of it, you're going to be upset, and you're going to be like, well, shit. Like, you got to just kick it out, the whole thing. So if I ever get out of white lips, all of them are going.
Right.
So there you go.
Yeah. So if Owen ever decides he's out of white lips, he says those words.
If I ever say all my white lips are for sale, somebody needs to come check on me.
Right.
So first thing is, I would immediately be suspicious that I have been murdered, and that someone is like
it's an AI version.
Yeah, this is some bullshit. I would immediately be suspicious. But
so So my advice, so this is what we're going to try to do. We're going to talk about different things in burnout, and then we'll give some advice to try to sort of like either avoid it or sort of work through it, right?
Fight it,
yeah. Because you do, let's be honest.
It's going to happen.
You can't understand. Yeah, as the chat is saying, it happens all the time, and it happens to a lot of people. I just want to put it out there so that if people are going through it, maybe they can like sort of think about things and process it and push themselves through it faster. Because let's face it, you don't know what the high feels like if you don't know what the low feels like.
You have
what I mean?
You have to have, we talked about this. You have to have the gut wrenching seasons of no eggs or dead females, or oh my God, why did this happen? In order to feel just the exhilaration of seeing a project that you've been working on for 10 years, 15 years. And the problem is that with those projects, I mean, we can talk about that. I had a clutch of gold-faced white lip last year, and I have a clutch of rough scale pythons this year. Do you have any idea how many gold-faced white lip and rough scale pythons I have killed to get to this point? Like, it is.
Yeah. A lot of eggs, a lot of disappointment, egg binding. It won't eat. This one's
God,
coming down. Everything's good.
One
and
is
it's
in
dead.
the back of my head. So people are like, "Aren't you happy?" Sure. Like, yes, I am. But you feel the weight of that stuff. You can be overjoyed, but like, you have to know how you got here.
I think somehow that we must be. You must be at the end of the curse, Owen, because you have produced this clutch of white rough scale eggs, so you're good. But like for me, I've been through 3 roughies so far.
Yeah.
All of them. That I had one, came eating, everything was good, everything was great. Boom, dead. Yeah. Then I got this other one. Everything was good, and then all of a sudden it just kinked up to shit to where it was just like, oh my God, what do I do with this animal now?
Right.
Like I don't know what to do. And and then another one just dropped dead. Yeah, it is what it is. It stopped feeding. I know that they're tricky to feed when they're younger. I
am terrified. I am terrified. I am petrified. Travis Wyman is like, congrats on the eggs. I'm like, I got this step 1 and I am terrified of step 2. He goes, hatching's fine. It's not step 2. Like babies, like Matt has got me scared. Nick had me scared. Oh God. And so
I think you'll be okay, man. I think you'll be okay because I think, not saying that these people that you mentioned are not in love with rough scales, but there's no way that they love rough scales as much as you. There's just no way.
That's what make it hurt.
I don't even think
it hurt more.
I don't even think the 3 of them together love rough scales as much as you do. Like you could add up all of that, and still not equal to the amount that you love roughies.
And the problem is that we have to get them. I have to get them feeding, and then they have to leave. And that's the other problem.
Oh, it's it's the other part of it, right?
That's the other part of it. It's you were doing that show yesterday, and they were like, "Oh, well, I saw somebody had a white lip. Maybe they got it from Owen." I'm like, "Excuse me, I've only let one white lip leave this house." Okay,
right. that again, that's such an awesome thing, because now you say I know it was funny. You sent the message when the rough scales laid. You were just sort of like, okay, burnout session is over.
It's over. It's over.
They've been rejuvenated.
I can punch through. I can punch the NPR logo into a wall right now. It is. Yeah.
So it does come and go, But I think my recommendation, if you're just getting into this, right, sort of, don't just go out and just buy on impulse. And yes, you're going to have to sort of figure out what you like, because there's going to be species that you are super jazzed about. And then you're going to get them and you're going to be like, I don't think I like these that much for whatever reason. It could be a multitude of reasons,
Yeah.
But
I feel like more along the lines in herpetoculture, it's like people don't take the baby steps. You see the big guys, and they started with a pair of boas, and then that boa bred, and then they were able to do some other stuff like that.
Right.
Instead, what you do is you attack it your first season with
everything.
Like six or seven animals of different species, and then when you have no success or something bad happens, you get frustrated, and it's like for the longest time, I only ever bred coastal carpet pythons,
right?
And it was coastal carpet pythons, and then like corn snake or king snake or easy stuff, but it was always just coastal carpet python. And it's only been in the last couple of years that I've even expanded out to jungles. I have a Darwin clutch now, breadlie. Breadlie was probably my first step out of coastal.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
It's the other part of it too is it's hard being on the side of the microphone where you're talking to people every week about what they are excited about.
Right.
It's hard not to be excited about it.
Right.
Like you're sitting there and you're talking to somebody for 2 hours about this, whatever they are that's breeding, and you're looking at pictures of the animals and you're like, oh, well, yeah, these sort of fit into the same box that I sort of keep. And like, wow, look at this. This is cool. And you're like super excited about it. And, it's really, as we both know, we've both been through this many times.
Yes.
Yeah. It's he's back to being a python breeder that also breeds colubrids.
Listen, at this point, I have 16 species of snakes that I've bred, and only one species of lizard. So if we want to split the hairs,
he's a snake.
I'm a snake breeder. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it becomes hard. But my advice would be that, like, pick a project, right? Or pick if you're gonna go into breeding. Okay, that's awesome. Maybe pick. Let's say you want to breed tigers. Okay, well, don't get
12 tigers. Get a pair of tigers.
Right.
Raise them up.
Right.
And then try to breed them. Like the one person who I think did this spectacularly is Lisa. She got white lips. She wanted white lips. She raised white lips. She bred white lips. Like it's
right.
And now she's starting to kind of like send her feelers out, but she's still kind of staying close to white lips. So
yeah, I think she had said earlier that I think her problems, she's too old for morph projects. She wants
morph projects suck.
Cool pair of snakes that make cool babies, and they don't have, she's not worrying about holdbacks.
You know how much easier it is when I had to take photos of all the snakes that I was putting up for sale soon, and I was taking pictures of the olive pythons. There was one that was just really not helping, and I'm like, screw you. Like, you look like all your siblings. Like, it's forget you. So
So that would be what I would say, and that's easier said than done, man.
Right.
Especially you're going to reptile shows, you're listening to reptile podcasts, you're going to different events or whatever, and you're seeing stuff, you're watching YouTube videos, whatever it is, wherever you get through reptile content, you're going to be excited about something that somebody's talking about, and you're like, oh, let me check this out, and you're like, maybe I'll try it and see how it goes. I don't know. So there's that.
Right.
I never was really, I guess it did. I think the last, probably in about 2018, when it comes to morphs, and especially after going and seeing a carpets in the wild, really kind of changed my perspective on this, where it's like, I'm tired of being in the morph race, man.
Yeah.
I'm just tired of it. It's not that I'm anti-morph, but it hasn't panned out for me because maybe I suck at it.
Well, no, I feel the problem is that if you're in the morph game, there are two morph games.
Yeah.
One is a pyramid scheme in which you will never, ever succeed unless you manage to hatch out something that has never been seen by anybody else anywhere, which is good luck. Because every time you get a morph, the people who had it before you already have animals that they're raising up or breeding to other things. They have the next step.
Yeah.
So they're letting this go so that you can play with that. That's why they get so upset when people kind of circumvent them and either get something that they weren't supposed to have, or something hatches out from another clutch that wasn't expecting, like some weird hets got out there. So there's that. Then there's the other morph game where you find a morph you like and you stick to it like glue and you make that your thing. You turn that into something that people will hunt you down for.
That's the game I wish. Yes,
that is the correct game that I think people will be successful at.
That's how I switched, right? Because I'm looking at look, I can give, especially in carpet pythons, right? Think of Andrew Paris with Jungles.
Right.
Think of Mike Curtin with Ocelot Jags.
Eric Hernandez with Reds.
You with Caramels. I guess Nick Mutton with Brettles. Justin Julander with Inlands and Antaresia, right?
Yeah.
He's sort of, he said that multiple times to where he was sort of like, I don't really get into the carpet thing, but, I'll sort of do the Antaresia because, everybody seems to be jumping on this carpet thing. I'm trying to think who else. Look at Ryan Young. He's Indonesian pythons. He's sort of like, his focus is a little wild, right? But it's still within this box.
So
John Battaglia with Gamma Jags.
It was really weird that Ryan's like, I can't get my rough scale pythons to breed, and I'm like, like,
wait, Ryan said that.
Like Ryan said that to me, and I'm like, that,
yeah,
like I'm just like, I can't breathe. Like it's
Yeah, I think, Eric just was in the chat and he just said, thanks for the shout for the Reds. But like, come on, man. Nobody, I don't care. Hands down, absolutely nobody can touch Eric's Reds. Nobody
My
can.
Reds are dog shit compared to
terrible.
yours.
They're terrible. And I have nice Reds.
They're horrible.
Yeah. But he's been focused on that. Meanwhile, like, he's not saying like, oh, I have to have every, which I've said, I have to have all of this and all of that and all of this and all of that. And meanwhile, like, while I'm doing that, I'm focused on acquiring them, raising them up, but really never having any, I've bred cool things. I'm not saying that, but
but
there's
imagine if you had just stuck with
citrus tigers,
or even just like Papuans. If you just did Papuan carpets, how many point? I know how many different lines, colors, projects could you have just built? And I'm not even talking like adding granites in there, just straight up.
This is where I failed, right? I feel that.
No, you didn't fail. You got caught up in
whatever.
it. You got caught up in the whole thing of, oh my God, because you can appreciate a really good looking carpet python just like I can. Yes. And the problem is that we get sucked into that. Like, I know I should not have bought diamonds when I did.
Yeah.
I was not prepared for them, and they are no longer here as that result.
Right.
So a lot of times we get excited, we kind of get all amped up. We see an opportunity and we pounce on it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I just want to make sure that everybody understands, like, you're going to go through, like I said earlier, to where you're sort of like, I don't want to say trying them on like you're trying on a pair of pants because they're animals, right? But you're sort of seeing if this animal is going to work with you. And if it doesn't, move it on and move on to what it is. But to your point, Owen, the Papuan carpets is a perfect example, right? Way back in 2007, my whole goal was that I was going to get this group of Papuan carpets and sort of like try to refine, them as a group. And I feel that, like, when I thought that was let me rephrase that. That's where my heart was, right? So, but as again, getting sucked into the machine type of thing where it's like, okay, I want to get this, I want to get that, I want to get this, I want to get that. And the next thing like you have this collection that you're like, oh, okay. And then I bred that one year where I'm like, what can 12 clutches be? That's nothing. What do you mean? That's like, oh, it's only 12 clutches. Holy shit. Was that an eye-opening experience? That was another time that I was like, oh man. And most of the time, Mr. Stone is in the background telling me, listen,
maybe you shouldn't do this.
Don't do this.
Whoa there, buddy bear. It's like, okay, it's fine.
Yeah. And, you sort of, I like the Buddy Bear reference.
I needed to. It needed to happen.
I haven't heard that in a long time.
Because there was a small part of me this week where I was doing something and I think I said it to myself, whoa there, Buddy Bear. And I'm like, that made me feel good.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the problem is that when you kind of put your foot into it, and this is where, like, I think my burnout was happening, is that I think I overextended myself.
Me too.
There's too many animals. There's too much stuff to do. There's too much things to happen. And I noticed it because I would have certain non-feeders that maybe I wasn't going to like the full brunt of that I would totally do.
Yeah.
Because I had all the othave animals. So
just too much.
Yeah. Well, it started doing the whole thing where it's like, I kept breaking it up into days, and I'd have to have a whole day dedicated to the non-feeders, just because that was the only way I was able to sit there and take time with them to try to get them feeding. And luckily, I only lost 2, but you imagine if a whole clutch was just being a dick about it, like.
Yeah, and that that's another thing that, like, I don't think that people talk about. When you lose animals from a clutch that you produced, it's like you're so high, and then all of a sudden you're low. You feel like you failed. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like, I couldn't get these animals to go thrive or whatever it is. And part of that, who knows? It could be that's just how it goes sometimes. I mean, they're not all going to survive in the wild.
the problem is that it's nerve wracking when
Yep.
you have a successful thing, because it's like more so with rarer species than like a morph. You always have that one really nice looking one, and you're like, God, I hope you eat as you bring it to hopper.
Yeah.
But then if it doesn't take off or it doesn't really go well, then maybe the genetics were just too messed up, and that's why it looks so pretty. But if you're looking at a wild type python of an olive or a white lip, or or a Madagascar hognose, or even, and it's just like, and it doesn't want to eat, it's like, well, shit. And the pressure is on because people are kind of watching it because you had the success with that animal.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
I mean, I'm sitting here, and last year I had a lot of babies, and this year I think what kind of threw the brakes on it is that I'm already at 133 eggs.
Holy shit, man.
Yeah. And we haven't had corn snakes, king snakes, pine snakes breed. I have another olive python. I have 3 carpet pythons out there, and a brettle that are all probably going to lay.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So you were also saying before that you started working on your pairings already.
Yes. I talked to Mike Curtin because we're doing a herp trip to Mike Curtin's house this weekend.
Right.
And talking with him, I think at this point I can safely say that Mike Curtin is my spiritual guide. So
he is kind of like,
I mean, he is like my small little Buddha.
Yeah, he is kind of like that, man. He's so like, Zen. I could see.
Oh yeah, man. It's just all good. Yeah.
You're like, wait a minute. Even when he's yelling, he's not yelling, right? His voice never goes up.
It never goes up. It just, yeah. So, but he's like, you need to take a look at the pairs that you're gonna do next year right now.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, and don't wait till summer, because in the summertime you're gonna sell all your holdback babies, and all the kids from this year or from last year are gonna go, and some of the babies from this year are gonna go, and you're gonna start feeling good about it, and those numbers are gonna kind of dwindle. He's like,
right.
But he's like, I want you to make the decision now.
Mm-hmm.
And just through talking with him, I'm like, do I need to produce any carpet pythons next year?
Right.
I mean, a lot of the pairings that would have gone next year would either be repeat pairings or shuffle pairings. Like I would take a male from there and throw it over there, but nothing insanely new.
Yeah.
I need at least 2 more years for all those babies to grow up. And it's like, well, maybe I take a year. So we're down to, I took away all the carpet python clutches from next year, and I still have 18 pairings, but the majority of them are colubrid.
Yeah, I think if you want to reset the clock, so to speak, I think a good way is taking a year off.
Yeah.
Like, I think that it's sort of like, it's similar to like when we took off last week, and we're just like, you know what? We're pulling an audible, and we're not no NPR this week. We're gonna take it off. There's enough reptile podcasts out there that's gonna cover
things happening.
Yeah.
This isn't like way back when where it was like a week is missed and people are like, what is happening? Like,
right.
No one even messaged us. Yeah.
Which is probably because most of the people are probably on a delay of about a week to 2, right? Because what I've noticed is 2 weeks later after we did, like, for instance, there's certain people that message me about like people when we did the Casey interview right away. They're like, oh, the show was awesome. The show was awesome. But then the questions start to come like 2 weeks later to where they're like, oh, I'm listening to the Casey episode.
Yeah.
And, blah, blah,
I
blah,
was just
blah.
listening to this last episode. That was 2 weeks ago, man. Like, what are you talking about? Yeah.
Which is fine. That's cool. Yeah. But it's sort of like, nobody's going to miss us for
not live all the time anymore. Yeah.
Yeah. So we took off and, it feels much better when it's sort of like our break at Christmas. You come back and you're like, okay.
I was chomping at the bit on Sunday to get back into it but yeah.
Sorry, Rob.
Yeah.
He was lonely.
No, I'm sorry, Rob.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. So we took the week off to
Yep.
sort of like,
Yep.
so it feels good to sort of be back on the mic and whatnot. But yeah, I think that like it's just important that you
I mean,
realize what
yeah,
where your limitations are at.
right. And the mental health aspect of it all is something that you need to constantly have in the back of your head, because this is supposed to be a release, or a passion, something that you can get into it. And if it starts becoming just an absolute stressor, like I really need to update for sale ads, but this past week I don't think I could have dealt with anybody inquiring about anything.
Yeah.
I think it would have been like, well, how much for actually, what's funny is I messaged you and said, we're back in it, let's do it. And I posted a picture of the rough scale python.
Right.
And in the rough scale python post, I said that I took photos of snakes that I'm going to have for sale soon. And it was all up. And some guy messages me on the Facebook page and he says, what kind of snakes you got? And I'm like, really? Like, I'm like,
yeah.
So I sent him the link to the website. And he's like, do you work with ball pythons? I'm like, no, I do not. How big your snakes get? Which species? It don't matter. And block. Like, it was just like, it do matter. Like, but that's just what it is. Like, so apparently I would have lost my mind. Like, if that person had messaged me last week, it
would have been trouble.
It would have been bad. It would have been.
Owen would have got canceled.
Oh my God. It would have been something. But it's like the fact that I'm able to just be like, go away. You're ruining my high, kid. Like, is part of it. You have to be able to know where to cut it and not to let people get to you with certain things. But I mean, if this becomes too stressful, like, you don't need to ever, I think some people feel the need to get out because they get buried under the stress of it. And I would rather see those people get out and then be happy than try to stick with it, lose animals, become more upset, become more depressed. And then when they have little bouts of like sunlight, try to get back into it again and then kind of stumble again.
Right.
So there's some people where I'm like, maybe this isn't for you.
Right.
So,
right. Yeah, it's yeah, you're right. Maybe it's not. I think like for me, I think, I always look at hobbies, which I look at this as sort of a hobby, right?
It's supposed to be. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That hobbies is such a weird word for me to use it with like live. Like my dogs aren't hobbies for me, but it's like playing my guitar. That's a hobby.
Yes.
Photographing or photography. That's a hobby. I don't know, woodworking, painting, whatever it is that you do. Those are like hobbies. But like, when you have animals, you have a responsibility to sort of make sure that they're in, the best care that you can give them.
There's nobody, and I've said this to Melissa a couple
and they're
times.
Relying on you.
Right. There's nobody coming behind me that will pick up my slack if I don't do it. All that happens is that the animal suffers. And that motivation alone has gotten me downstairs more times than I can count.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's sort of like when that becomes a stress. Like, so what I mean by that is like, for most people that would look at that, it's like you're dealing with the stress of day-to-day life.
Right.
And you sort of look at that as an escape. Like you're going into your snake room.
You're
gonna watch your snakes, or you're gonna, you know what I mean? It's not a stress anymore.
Don't be a breeder. Like if this becomes too much, don't be a breeder. If you just want to have a room full of snakes in really cool setups that you can go in and kind of zen in, 100%, I understand that. Then do it. You don't need to breed shit.
Yeah. I think that's kind of I don't know. What do you think? Do you think that is that sort of like when we were coming into the hobby, if you weren't a breeder, you were a nobody. Right?
There
Would
was
that be fair to
definitely,
say?
well, yeah, there was definitely a heavy thing of like, you want this animal because you're going to pair it with this animal. And that was part of selling stuff too, because it was always you bought this because then you know what, you could pair it with this, and this. I think it was the first time Balin and I got granites. I sold the granite and I was talking to the people after they bought it, and I'm like, and you can pair her with this. They're like, we don't breed. I'm like, oh. They're like, oh, no, we just want to set her up. I'm like, oh, well, yeah, she'll look amazing in that. Like, and it was that kind of shock to the system that I got where it's like, yeah, you don't have to breed. So
yeah, you don't have to. Yeah. Yeah. But it seems like even now I feel I got, if I'm being honest, I kind of feel a little bit of it, and it might be just in my own head, right? Because I haven't really,
what's the last clutch you produced last year?
Gelatins, yeah. Yep.
But
which is just one clutch,
exactly, and one clutch,
and it was fine with me. I didn't post it up. I didn't do any of that kind of stuff. It was just like, it just bred it, and here I have raising them up, and blah blah blah. I it's like when it is like right around now where everything's hatching out, and then you're seeing all these things. You kind of miss it. Yeah, you kind of miss it. You kind of feel like, oh, I'm not part.
I don't have any eggs.
I'm not part of the cool kids club because I'm over here. But I've talked to people that don't breed, that their knowledge of animals is, like it's just, it's just, I don't know.
But you don't. Taking a year off or taking a step back or not breeding animals never hurt you. Somehow it seems like everybody has it in their head that if they don't produce this year or don't produce these animals, it will somehow hinder something. The world keeps going. Like, it's just kind of like, and that's what really kind of plugged it in, is looking back at all the pairings that I could do next year. Nothing was jumping out at me as I must do this. We must have this. Like, one of the python pairings is black-faced white-lip, because I'm going to keep trying to climb up that hill. But like, if the gold-faced white-lip lays eggs this year again, she's getting a year off. There's no point to do that again.
Yeah, right.
And right now I have 5 olive pythons, and then I have 17 eggs in the incubator. I do not need to do that again next year. Like, we can wait a little bit. And I think that takes a lot of pressure off of getting shit out, getting shit sold, getting all this other stuff moving. You can wait for babies to grow up. You can kind of see where you're going. Yeah.
Yeah. It's, then, the selling this. I think I feel like there's kind of like, it's almost like there's probably multiple hobbies within the hobby, but I feel like it's kind of broken down into 2 camps. You have people that are breeding because they sort of want to either simply just have your sales that you may sell snakes from just sort of pay for food and caging, and just the general expenses of keeping, like a snake room, right? And then you have people that sort of do it as a see, I don't think it would be as bad if this is what you did. Like, if
it's a job.
Yeah, if I bred snakes and this is all I did, and I didn't do anything else.
If I got up in the morning and all I had to do was go downstairs and clean my snake room and feed and do whatever, and then like
you got to do like marketing
and photographs and marketing,
like
I'd much rather get up and haul my ass down to my snake room than get up and sit down at this desk all day while I listen to people complain about how they haven't gotten paid for the dentist work they got 3 months after the car accident, which doesn't make any sense. Wouldn't you notice your tooth was missing? So I digress.
Podrick, you can I have faith in you. You can produce pop ones, no doubt about it. You got this.
Yeah.
Owen's just going to get a pair of pop ones one day. Just
I'm going to listen.
He can do it too.
At this point, I'm going to breed every single species and be like, and fuck you, Papuans, and then retire. And like, and sell everything and be like, the only one he never got. Yeah. Because he didn't care. Yeah.
yeah, and then things like just getting species that it must be I can't imagine. I guess it's because I'm so sort of focused on what I like knowing what I like. I'm a Python and boa guy. That's where I am.
You are
know
correct.
what I mean?
Yes.
I'm not a colubrid guy. Listen, I think they're awesome.
Them? Yeah.
I can appreciate them,
yeah.
but I have no desire to keep colubrids. Like there's no driving force in the back of my head that says that I have to get.
If you had even an inkling, I'd have got you by now. But
I just don't. I get tempted. I get tempted a lot.
And you see, but who says I want people to remember me? Like I don't want to be remembered. I want nothing to do with it. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Come on.
I think the other change for me is that I sort of had to decide just as far as the collection and the NPR network is sort of like one is going to have to be cut back.
Right.
So to me, I kind of feel like our mark in herpetoculture, more so, I don't want to speak for you, but for me personally, is to sort of try to make it a little bit better than how we got it.
First off, the mark I leave on herpetoculture is directly connected with this podcast. It has nothing to do with my breeding and the animals I produce. I have said numerous times, that shit is for me. You people can have it when I'm done with it. Like, or I don't want that one. Like, that is mine. Like,
right.
I'm not doing this for you or the betterment of herpetoculture. Go to hell. Like, that's what the podcast is for.
Right. Yeah. And, I think for me too, it's sort of like, I guess maybe I felt a responsibility to sort of like have certain because it did seem to me that a lot of people were getting into, and my thoughts on this have evolved a bit to date, but like it seemed to me that a lot of people were sort of just crossing stuff willy-nilly, and like when you're doing that, certain things are going to get lost, and you can't get them ever again once they're lost. So for me, it was like I had the decision to make. Do I cut back my collection and sort of focus on trying to, put better content out, because I feel like in fairness, I do feel like the last podcast that we did, the one with, Craig Trumbauer, Tony Hurt, Casey Cannon, I think they were all really, I thought they were really good, but I put a lot of work into those, you know, and like, and I feel good when and people may say, oh, that show is shit, but for me, it feels good. And then when I start to hear back from people say the same thing, it's like, okay, I'm on the right track,
right.
I'm on the right track. And then, the whole idea of the network was I saw people like Justin, Chuck, Zach Loafman, Matt Most, Rob, Keith, Warren Booth, like all people that I want to listen to. Right. You know what I mean? Like I want to hear what they have to say. I want to give them, and they don't know, how to do podcasts. So it's sort of like, okay, let's offer something that get them in the thing. And, sometimes it feels like the pressure of, I coming home from work after a terrible day and knowing that I have to go down and edit podcasts and then, like just little things that help. Like I feel happy. Like when Zach sends me a description and a title, I'm like, oh, thank God.
Oh, thank you, Jesus.
I mean? Just these little things.
And we've had that where it's like there are certain days where if work's getting nuts, I like this is where I work. This is the desk I work at.
Right.
And then if we have a show, it's like
you don't want to be at the desk.
Cool. I spent I got to spend 2 hours out of the chair. Like it.
Yeah. And it's and here's the other part of it. Like I consider myself somewhat knowledgeable with tech.
Yeah.
Right. But I got to be honest, man. Like I have to teach myself how to do this shit.
Yeah, you have
it's
to.
not like there's a book I can read or something. So like, like right now I'm struggling because I can't figure out. So maybe somebody can shoot me in a direction, right? I can't figure out how to make a podcast. So Travis Wyman had sent me a message and he's like, hey, Eric, is there any way that the stuff that you put up on Patreon, can you sort of have it go so where it's on the same, so I don't have to use different apps? Because I would feel the same way. I was like,
that makes sense. Yeah,
this is a pain in the ass,
Yeah.
This is a pain in the ass, and I don't want it to be a pain in the ass for anybody, especially people that support us like that. You know what I mean? I don't want it to be that. And it wasn't like he was complaining about it. He's just saying like, hey, is there a way you can do this? So I'm like,
great question.
I'm trying to figure it out. It's not like I can refer to, oh wait, there's
nobody else here. Yeah. That's so weird. Yeah.
So like trying to figure that out, and then trying to I don't know. It's sometimes it's a lot, and but you just have to sort of get yourself out of that funk and get out and keep it pushing, with your goal, with the goal that you had in mind. And the goal is, I guess, what's this? Yeah, and that's sort of like the point, Robert. It's like, I'm hoping that we make content that helps people keep their animals better, which ultimately makes for the better lives of those animals that we keep in captivity. At the end of the day, that's kind of the thing, right? We're just talking to people about
the objective,
what they do, and
right. The objective is to put the information out there that helps improve.
Yeah.
Like otherwise, we would never have moved forward. So
what is funny though, right? I have to make a joke of this because Owen laughs every time this happens because I kind of like my head explodes.
Yeah.
Somebody will contact me and they'll be like, hey, do you know how to breed carpet pythons? And I'm just like,
maybe. I'm
like, well,
I just roll into the back of your head. It's
clearly you know me from
something brought you to me, right? Yeah, like it is.
I think you could probably do a thing. It's called Google. I know it's kind of a new type of thing, and like
But what I don't understand is that the information is out there. Like I had somebody ask me how to breed their Madagascar hognose, and I sent them a link to the information that Riley had put out there that I pretty much follow when he bred his. And then the person just kept asking me questions with the information is all in there. Like, oh, so you keep them together. And I'm like, well, yeah. Did you read the article? No, I haven't read it yet. All right. So what temperatures do you do? I'm like, well, did you read the article? Like I gave you the answers. Like it is all right there. Like it.
And I guess part of that is, and to be fair, right? For me being an old guy, it's hard for me to probably relate to how younger people are fed information, right? Because they're fed information it's kind of crazy when you think about it. You have this thing in your pocket that tells you anything you want to know in the world. You know what I mean? Like you basically have the answers to basically, it's like you could just ask this thing and it'll tell you what the answer is. So they're getting information quicker and how they digest that information.
So they can't read so they want to know what's in the article right now rather than reading the damn article.
Yes.
Like it's
yeah.
Come on,
well,
man.
It's not even that so much for me with the article. It's like, I think it's the idea that that you just have to Google Morelia Python radio breeding carpets.
Breeding, and there's like what,
I know
12 episodes
I know
about
there's
it.
12
I think
episodes.
it's pretty, like I'm pretty sure we have to do one again this year. Like it is.
Yeah, it's on the ticket.
It's on the thing. It's right there. It's always there.
Yeah.
Just like how we have to we have to seriously start talking about how we're going to do the calendar competition again this year.
Oh boy.
See? It keeps rolling. Man.
That was I must say that was a huge stress reliever this season.
So much easier this year.
In the past, it was like, again, see, mailing them out, making sure that they're going to, writing out all the address. It seems
putting
like
all the
it's not a
rules
big
out
deal.
there and saying, please, nice pictures. And then going through everybody's picture of the same green tree python on a fence post in the middle of the city. It's like, I don't know what to do with this.
Yeah.
And it's out of focus too. So
yeah. I think so. So that was a huge stress reliever this year for me because we didn't make any money at it, which is not the point. That's not what we're here. We just kind of broke even.
Something fun.
We used to have to do Dewey Decimal System. Does anybody even know what that is anymore? I know what that is.
I know what it is too.
Okay.
I do know
2
what
points
it is.
for Owen.
I know what it is.
I think anybody younger than you? No go.
Probably no. I had to learn about it in elementary school, and then it became electronic in middle school. So yeah.
And to Australia for this year.
They won't let you do that, but good luck. Yeah.
Good luck, Scott.
Yeah.
That'll be cool.
If you make it, if it happens, we'll definitely give your photos consideration. So
I'll tell you what though, what has become a stress reliever for me and resets me. And this is probably why
marijuana.
April. Yeah, sure.
I mean,
yeah, that resets you.
Yeah,
no doubt. No, Herping.
Yes. Yes.
I kind of feel like Herping has sort of it gives me a chance to sort of, I think what I love about it, right, is that we sort of check out for the week.
It gets you back to the basics.
Yes. And you're hanging out with people.
Right. You're hanging out with your friends. You're going out and
you vent some shit.
You vent some shit. You're on the trail and you're like, what is it? There have been numerous times where I've been yelling about something and I'll hear you back there go, fuck that guy. It's like, there it is.
Yeah. Or even better yet, you learn some stuff, right? Because now you're having discussions around, I think one of my favorite parts of going to Arizona was it Arizona? Yeah, it was Arizona. Maybe it was West Texas with Phil and Rob. And we were outside and it was the end of the trip. I think it was the last night. And we weren't even talking about reptiles. We were talking about music, but we're just sitting around the table. It's quiet as can be. There's nobody around for miles and miles, and you're just sitting there chilling and just having a conversation, drinking a couple beers. I think, and this is the whole Joe Rogan idea, but like when we go on a hike or whatever, like when we climb to the top of that
the mountain in Texas where
God damn it, I just said this.
I got vertigo so bad up there, dude. It was messing up my brain, and I'm like, man, like I'm on teetering on the edge while Justin's like running up a rock like a goat, and I'm like, oh god.
But when you go up there and you're looking out into the vastness of the wilderness, and there's nothing for miles and miles and miles, you just realize that like. Man, it's not that bad. It just resets your soul.
Right. Some of my
you know what I mean?
One of my favorite times is laying on the freaking parking lot at Erlangi, like, or Kakadu, like, just laying there because you and Rob were up getting your phone and Keith and I were just chilling, and I'm just looking up and it's like, it's dark as hell. And it was just gorgeous. It was beautiful sky. And you have that moment where you're like, I'm
nothing. I'm on
the other side. I think what hit me was I'm on the other side of the planet.
Yes.
On a continent that I'm not 100% sure anybody in my family tree has ever been to. Like, it is like, so it's nuts.
You realize that your problems are not, I don't know, man. It's just something about it just resets my soul.
Resets
whatever problems I'm having, whatever stress I'm having, when I'm out there in the field, it just sort of like, especially at night, you look up and you're looking at the stars and you're just, it's, some of the places we've been, like the night sky has been, to your point, has been freaking amazing.
Gorgeous.
Like, you never will see that living in a city or the suburbs or like, and you're just like, you're looking and you're like, the vastness of this universe, I mean, you could trip out.
So much. I mean? It's so cool because it's like, what is it? We were just going to West Texas. I'm like, oh shit, we're just driving. I'm like, there's a lot of alien stuff here. Oh my god, we're in Roswell, New Mexico. Oh, holy crap! Like, you get to have that thing where it's like, I've been there. Check, like, and you can have that fun, like driving and just seeing sunset, sunrises, all the cool stuff. It just beautiful landscaping and things like that. It does just pull you out of it because you're just not at the desk looking at the damn screen again.
Right.
Of all the
some
text.
Drama about something.
It's just like, exactly. And, you're just unplugged. Not like, and you're out there doing that, and
with a small group of people that are in your, what I would say, like in your inner circle. You know what I mean? Like, you're like, okay, these are people that I actually and enjoy being around.
What I find is that I actually get quiet on freaking herping trips. Like, I'm walking around and not talking, and I think it was like the one Mike's like, "You all right?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm fine." Why? He's like, "You're quiet." I'm like, "Oh,
I'm alone with my thoughts.
What would you like me to do?" Like, I'm pretty sure everybody here has heard me talk a lot. Like, they don't need to hear it anymore. Like,
it's the one time that we get not to talk.
I think I said something last week where I'm like, I have a perfect inside voice, and Melissa threw something at me. So it's
yeah. Oh man, it's I think Nipper put it great. He said that so a couple things. So Nipper, I love that guy. He is he's sort of he's my spiritual what did you call Mike Curtin?
Spiritual advisor.
Spiritual advisor.
It's different than my spirit animal. We left that in Texas, in Australia.
In Australia, he's sort of that to me, right? Like checking in. Like, when he doesn't hear from me for a couple days, he's like, something's up. What's going on? And
May.
Yeah, right. He just I think he's like one of those people that sometimes understands me better than I understand myself. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and he was sort of saying about, and I love this saying, I went from a keeper that herps to a herper that keeps. That's sort of how, like, I've changed. You know what I mean? Evolved. Let's say evolved. I don't know if it's necessary to change, but like, it's keeping and breeding and all that stuff is great, and it's cool to watch the animals and all that stuff. I think there's an extra special something about seeing that thing in the wild.
I think if you could redo it, you'd have your group of Papuans, and then you'd have giant display cases with all your diamonds in them, and then you'd be happy as a clam.
That's another.
I think it's where you're kind of
in the middle.
You're course correcting to that, where it's like, which if we had all the money in the world, it'd be done next week. But it's like, we can't just.
Well, shit, man. I mean, my I've told you this. I can't tell you how many times my dream would be, and I know it's like, I feel like it's one of those things that, like, stop talking about it and just do it. But I don't even know how to begin to do it. Right. I mean, we've talked about this multiple times, but for me, I would love to have like some sort of, I know this is probably everybody's thing, but like a serpentarium where I'm no longer worrying about selling snakes and this and that and all this
Just
stuff.
showing them off. Yeah.
I'm just like showing people how cool these animals are. And like, man, I have this whole idea where you kind of like, you go through all these different continents where it's all these different species. And I'm like, I said, me and Owen could so do this, but we don't have any money.
Yeah. I mean,
here we are.
I could run the back room and breed all the other shit. I'm fine with that, man. It's like, there have been a couple times where I'm like, if I can, I give it a couple more years, I get myself set. I want to give diamonds a crack just because I want to get that under my belt. And I know I can. I know I can.
Oh, yes, you can. 100%. Number one, you've read Breadlie. I don't think they're that much different. And number two, I think they're kind of like colubrids.
That's that.
You know what I mean?
Would do that. I'm sitting there and I'm like, every once in a while I poke the dog with a stick and I'm like, how many more years you got? Because your crate could get the hell out of here and I could.
Poor Zero.
How many years that animal shaved off my life? It's fine.
I think he shaved a few off of mine as well.
Exactly. He's everybody's. Horrible creature.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be that's when I was younger. I should have went that direction. That's how I, but
I think if you're gonna do it, you start it the way that Brian Ari did. I love Ari's thing of doing the whole zoo thing and it being an attraction. Absolutely love that. I think Brian Barczyk's thing is also a good way to do that, where it's kind of like a small, almost like a kids party idea, and then breeding in the background, and then you expand from that. I think what happens is that you have to take the step, and the step is going to hurt because you may not be successful for a little bit. It may take some time. You may have to put a lot of your own money into it or get grants or get loans to make sure it's done appropriately. But then after a little bit, you start building. And
so what I'm doing now to sort of, so it's not like it's just talk, right?
Yeah.
Something I would love to do, right? But I think the thing is like I have to get my personal financials in check and sort of have money saved up. So that's sort of like where I'm at. So if ultimately that's the place where I would just want to take it. Yeah. It's and I know you're like, okay, so
do it. Yeah. Listen. Do you have any idea how much money Jim is worth to me? Like dead. I'm just saying we can kill him and then
we can fake Jim's
death. Of course, I'm not helping our situation by saying this on a podcast. But
why I said fake it. Yeah.
Fake it, right? Yeah. Good point. Yep. Good job. I also jab him with a stick every once in a while and say, how are you doing? How many years you got? A lot of stick jabbing going on over here.
I see that. If all of a sudden I'm getting jabbed by a stick, I know trouble's coming.
If I start jabbing you with a stick, no, I'm more like, how you doing? Why?
We're out herping somewhere, and all of a sudden I feel a snake hook poking me. Like, oh
you
shit,
all right, buddy? Oh God, no!
I think I'm gonna fall off the cliff on this trip, Dory. I don't know what's gonna happen. If I come up dead.
The last text he sent was, "If I die, suspect Owen." It's like, oh no,
he would never do that.
It's
all good. But yeah, so Dream's not dead, but that's ultimately where I would go with things. Clearly not falling off a cliff.
I mean, let's not do that.
But I think that would be awesome to do. But
down the road.
Yeah, who knows?
Even just a breeding facility, like a place where you can I feel like the second you get a building that's off your property, you're doing this as a job. You're doing this 100% because now you have a lot of overhead, you got other stuff that you have to deal with, and I think that's what you are doing. So it's like even just a way to, if we could just do that, I'd be cool with it.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, I got bills to pay. I got other things to deal with. Damn bills.
Damn being an adult. This adulting's for the.
It's freaking horrible. Don't do it. Yeah.
Don't be an adult. Yeah. Unfortunately, that's how it goes. But anyway, I don't know that if you just wanted to talk about it, because I guess me and Owen have kind of been going through it for the past month. But we still try to come on and keep a happy face and sort of keep it.
And that's the one thing I would say is if you're trying to find ways to kind of combat burnout, the best way to do it is to hang out with some like-minded reptile friends, or
Always works.
Call a friend that knows you can rely on. Like, call somebody and be like, hey man, can you come help me clean cages this weekend?
Yeah.
And I feel like that's the bat signal for everybody in the herptical. Like, if you call me and you say, I need you to come over and help me clean cages, I know it's gotten to a point where you're concerned about the animals, but also you need help, because this is something you should be able to do 100% all the time.
Yes.
Easy. But now you're reaching out. So the second that happens, first off, I'm there. Second off, it's like you did this for a reason. So obviously, hopefully you feel better after we hang out, talk, clean. I mean, I don't give a shit if it takes 4 hours, 5 hours, whatever. But that helps with that. I know we talked about that. I wanted to have a get together with you guys, and we're trying to look for that at the end of May. I know that, sometimes Matt will just be like, hey man, we need a cookout, and we'll all just go do that. Like, sometimes that's what is needed. So
and it
sometimes
you'd be surprised at how much that can
help
just reignite that fire.
Sometimes I just need a you and me episode to help keep me grounded, because then it's just like, we're not worried about a guest. We don't have to worry about other crap. We don't have to about editing. Throw this shit up. Like, it is what it is.
It's 2012, baby.
Who gives a damn? I'm gonna start putting the microphone in my mouth to get that real, like, season 1 audio
popping. Popping people's ears.
Jesus.
Yeah. But yeah, I will. So a couple of cool things. Let's I don't know. Or we sort of, I think we've hit all the things. I guess to wrap up the whole burnout thing is, like, everybody goes through it.
Yep.
At some point. I think that if you're really, passionate about, I hate using that word all the time, but if you're really into the animals and whatnot, you'll find a way to recharge those. But look at that, Richard. Yeah, there you go. Recharge the batteries.
Yeah, it does.
It does.
For everybody who isn't hosting,
yeah.
But I feel like it happens to everybody. You have to recognize it, and then find ways to deal with it, because there are always going to be ways for you to deal with it. If you have to take a couple steps back, take those couple steps back. And if you have to reach out to somebody and ask for help, don't hesitate. Do that. And then make the decision. If the collection's too big and you need to kind of pivot into a different direction, do it. Don't try to force it, because then, stuff will happen, potentially bad stuff, and then that's just going to send you further back.
Right.
Get out, go do something with reptile friends. Go into the bush, go herping. It doesn't matter if you don't find anything. I found a red line salamander in my backyard the other day, and I'm like, yeah, Ray, look at it. Like, you need that sometimes. You need to ground yourself. Sometimes
it's not even it's not even finding anything. It's just sometimes I think there's something to the idea that human beings are not yet evolved to where technology has evolved, and we have a hard time processing. Like, we're just not evolved yet to
we haven't gotten there yet
to be in that world, So, like, I don't know about you, but I think the thing about herping is like being out in the wild is it just feels, I don't want to say right, because that's not the right word. Well, maybe that is the right word. You know what I mean?
But everything just drains out of your ears.
It's like a sense
all
of peace.
Crap.
It's just like,
I have nothing to do with here. The only thing I have to do is keep marching up that hill till Rob Stone tells me not to. Like,
There's nobody screaming at me because their Cheerios are out of date, or the cashier didn't smile at you, or
right. Exactly. Or that you have too many automated cashiers. What are you doing? Taking job? Like, no.
Go to hell. For the devil, man.
Yeah, exactly. Just zen. And you need that sometimes. And obviously, understand your limits and be able to recognize those things. So,
yeah, Scott, I think I think everybody has that dream to sort of say like, yeah, it would be nice if I could do this, and it could be my thing, and but the fear with me with that has always been, does that become then like a job, like my job? You know what I mean? Like,
I think after a certain, if you're super passionate into it, maybe you don't see it as the job. I think there'll always be complaints and always be bad days, regardless of what you do. You could be a professional ice cream tester, and every once in a while you're gonna be like, I fucking hate this. Like, you just,
I'm so sick of
this
chocolate
sucks.
cookie dough.
This sucks. Like, at one point, something's gonna break on you, but then you'll come in the next day and realize what's going on is good. So I think the problem is that it's a very big risk and it's a very big gamble. And I think anybody who's done it professionally, there are very few people who've like, and that's when I quit my job and I just had 3 snakes. Like, you have to build your thing. And that can be hard because, like, after a certain point, like, do I get an employee to help with my stuff? But then I have to pay that guy. And then the other problem is that, do I want this random person who's a reptile? Like, because I've had people offer to come over and clean cages and work for stuff and like that. And I'm like, well, first off, I don't know who you are. Thank you. It's like, do you want this person? I don't have a building. This isn't a facility. This is my house.
Right. Yeah. What was I going to say? Oh, so here's a good thing, right?
Yeah.
For anybody that is, so here's a problem I had, right? I love physical books, but it's much easier for me to read an ebook, and a lot of those books aren't.
You buy again on ebooks?
No, you can't even get them on ebook.
Right, they're not ebooks.
You can't even get them. Some you can.
I'll tell you why. I got the one that Greg Trumbauer was talking about in the show.
In an ebook?
No, in a book.
Yeah.
Like, no, not Craig's books. One that was written,
Caulfield's book.
Yeah, Caulfield's.
Yeah.
I went and I got that, and I'm like, I don't even want to touch this.
Right. Yeah. So an example would be like, I wish that they had the biology of boas and pythons in an ebook. I wish that they had Pythons of the World 1, 2, and 3 in an ebook. So you can sort of cheat with Apple Notes, and you can sort of like
make
scan,
them talk it. Yeah.
Or like if you're using the Files app, you can sort of scan a document. But I think that's really, really geared towards you scanning like a piece of paper that you're going to sign and email it to somebody that you signed it, type of deal. You know what I mean? Or like if you have a receipt or something and you want to take a picture of it, you can scan it and hold it in the Notes app. Right. So I've kind of cheated with that. But the problem is when you make notes or you highlight stuff, how do you look at that? And then I don't know, I'm kind of weird. I know that a lot of people like mark up their books and stuff, but I feel like I feel like that's like sacrilege that you can't mark them up.
No. Certain books can be marked up. If it's a like a field guide of like or like Melissa's dosing book and veterinary book, she's got tabs all in that. She is not written in them. She has little sticky notes and stuff like that. But to mark up a book like and highlight it or something, like, oh my God, no. What's wrong with you?
You can't do that. What's wrong with you? Real quick, I know this is going back, but I think Scott nailed this. Herping. We all need the natural world. Have grown up hunting, fishing, herping, etc. I think we're very detached from the natural world and direct results. What most of us do is very detached. I agree, definitely, 100%. And very well said. That's exactly what I'm trying to say. You would think I would be better at saying things since I've been talking for 12 years
of rambling.
Clearly, there's no hope.
Rambling on a podcast.
So anyway, back to the book, right? So like if you do something in Kindle, you can sort of highlight stuff and it gets flashcards, and you can
Right.
sort of have notes, and you can sort of look back on those notes, especially like when we're doing the book club. So this is the problem I'm trying to solve. Like, how do I do this? So anyway, for anybody that's having that same issue, or like, when I'm going to Australia and I'm bringing the more complete carpet and I almost leave it on the plane, and like dumb shit like that.
Yeah.
That you can't get back into, you can't get back on, but they were nice. And like, you don't understand. That's the more
Like that's like
carpet.
a
It's the
prototype
only
book.
copy.
Yeah.
It's the
Oh
prototype
my
book.
God.
I have to get it back.
Nick Mutton is going to kill me. Yeah, it's
Clearly you're passionate about carpet pythons. Go ahead, run back on the plane. Even though we're not allowed to do this, but you can go.
You run, Hobbit. Yeah.
Go. So now I use this app called VScan that I found, and you can like scan in the book. Like, I'll give you an example. Look, I'll show you.
Like every page?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
I'm gonna share it so people can see what I'm talking about. Right. So now look. Right. And like, see, I can make notes. I can write on it, highlight it. You know what I mean? Like, dude, this is a game changer for me, because this has been a problem that I've been having for a long time. And then let's see if I show you this one. There's another one.
Biology of Boas and Pythons. That is, I got that book when Ryan said that he says it's absolute, like, a must have. Yeah.
Yeah. So, now it's all there. And that's a pretty big book. But look, see?
Oh my God. Wow.
I got the complete carpet in it, the new West Indies book. And not to mention this one.
Yep. Have that one too. It's over there.
This one was kind of funky because of the way that the pictures are, where they're on 2 pages, but still, it's okay. It's okay. Still, the information is there. And then this one.
That's awesome.
That's so now cool. I have it on, I have it on my computer. I have it on my phone,
everywhere.
My
cloud,
iPad. It's everywhere. And I can just go in and sort of, so slowly I'm like, there you go. Breeding carpet pythons. This is from the complete carpet python book.
We should just develop an app for reptile related things and then make our money that way for the Serpentarium. My suggestion is that the app is that Nipper Read will read a reptile book to you. So, yeah.
But yeah, so and the cool thing about it is that now when I highlight all that stuff, it's sort of like if there's this app called Readwise, right?
Yeah.
And what it does is it takes all of that stuff that I highlight, make notes or whatever, and just puts it in that app, so I can just refer back to those notes if I want to refresh myself, right? So like I try to like read something, highlight the important parts, and then sort of try to figure out like try to repeat it back in my own words, so I don't know.
Riley just kicks in the door and he's like, everybody should leave here and go watch Brian Cusco right now. Like, ouch, what? Buddy. Nick Mutton's on Brian Cusco right now, but like Riley just kicks in the door and he's like, hey, everybody should leave here and go to Brian Cusco. Like, ouch, buddy. Ouch. Yeah.
Yeah, he shouldn't go up against NPR. Thanks, Scott.
Tuesday nights have been ours way before. Come now.
Yeah, Riley's here. That's a good point.
Good point. Yeah. All right. Valid point. Good point. Yeah.
But anyway, it's called V Flat. It's a free app.
I like it. That's cool.
If you want to sort of get your books and make them digital, it's pretty freaking cool. So
it is. Yeah. I mean, and that I like that idea because, like you said too, you can make notes, you can mark stuff up, you can see, you could get, you probably even do it where you save certain parts of the book like as a PDF file. Like we talked about it when I started. I had Will Leary's breeding of carpet python saved on like my computer. I think I had printed copies out every once in a while, like, and I followed that to the T. So yeah, that's awesome. I love that.
Yeah, like if you look, just to give people just an idea to what you're saying, Owen, just so everybody can sort of see my library. but this is sort of like all the different papers and
I'm beginning to
magazines, and you know what I mean, just like
Burmese python. What the hell's wrong with you?
just different articles and stuff that I've saved.
Oh my god!
Papers, and there's all that.
There's a white lip, T. Albert. I see it.
Yeah, like that one's pretty cool, right? Look,
yeah,
that's an article that Mark O'Shea wrote way back in the day about white lip pythons. You don't have this? I have to send it to you. Okay. Well, it's a PDF. Guess what, buddy?
Yeah.
Email.
Right.
Here we go.
All right.
Owen.
Yeah. Nice.
Bink.
I like that. and it's gone.
There you go.
Wow.
Now you have it.
Yeah. Excellent. I'll read it and then be like, why aren't you following what the article said as I hit their cage with it?
Yeah. So rough scales. Let's finish on the high note, buddy.
I get a high note. All right.
Right.
All right.
What are we looking at? Tell us about it.
So I have 3 rough scale pythons, 2 females and a male. I have a larger female and a smaller female. And this year, the smaller female was kind of getting close, and I was kind of on the fence about it. But the bigger female, she's been cruising. She is actually owned by Brian Schaefer. He kind of got out of snakes, but he still has a couple really nice ones, and he sent her over here on breed loan because he lost his male rough scale python, and there was no point in just hanging out with a girl. So I got her last year, kind of around this time. I tried introductions. They locked up a bunch of times. Nothing happened. She spent all year trying to tear my face off and living here. And then the male immediately went off food when the cool down happened, has been all over the front of his cage, whipping all around. And I put them together and they locked up like crazy immediately, like 5 seconds. A lot of locks were witnessed, a lot of watching them. And they were usually locked up for hours. So it was like, okay, but we've been here before. We've gotten eggs before. Like we had like 5 eggs from that one female, which was my first one that was the knife to the chest. Right. So I was kind of on the fence about that, or I thought she was kind of moving the right direction. So they started separating, so I pulled him, but he kept going nuts. So I actually put him in with the smaller female. And when I say smaller, they're actually the same size, the male and the female. It's just that the other female's so much bigger. So they immediately lock up too. So I'm like, okay, well, let's not get too excited. And I kind of did the thing that I usually do where I'm like, all right, well, she hasn't really done anything. We'll check her out. We'll see what happens. Or she might be gravid, but then everything in my head's telling me that like, no, you're just imagining things. There's no chance. Like, she's not like, so she sheds and I'm like, okay, mark it on the calendar. We have it that many days. She's due the same time as the false water cobra and a couple other things. Right. Well, the couple other things all laid their eggs because they're seasoned, proven female carpet pythons. So like they're 2 weeks prior and they're like, here they are. And I'm like, damn. But then this roughie hasn't done anything. And I'm like, oh, like I'm not freaking out. I'm not freaking out. Yes, I am. I'm like, it's so then I caught her basking belly up. And she quickly, like, when you surprise them and they are basking belly up and they kind of just tilt it this way, like they just kind of like, oh. So I caught her and I wanted to send a picture or take a picture, but she had already corrected and kind of went double S looking right at me. And I'm like, okay, well, shit. So I kind of just kept going. Right. Due date comes. Nothing happens. Right. And now I'm messaging Brett Bender and I'm like, how long? Like, dude, roughies after the fact. Like, have you ever have any of yours ever gone like he goes all the goddamn time? I'm like, all right, well, how late? And he's like, well, I think Terry had one at like 45 days. I'm like, all right, 45 days. We'll wait till 45 days. And I'm already like, I'm bugging Melissa while she's at work. I'm like, well, what do we do if like this happens. She's like, it hasn't happened yet. Nothing has happened yet. We are day 2 post due date. Like you need to. I'm like, no, we're fine. Fine. It's okay. It's like, so every morning, come into my office, turn on the lights, look at her. She looks at me, and I'm like, okay, walk away. Do all the stuff. I'm usually here all day, but I'm not really looking at them. At nighttime, turn off all the lights, look at her. She's looking at me. So it was it Saturday? It was Saturday night, right? Or Friday night?
It was Saturday.
Saturday night. Something like that. Her due date was Wednesday, so
she went past it.
She went past it.
This is the 45-day due date, right?
No. The due date.
Oh, the actual due date.
The actual due date. The actual due date was so it was Saturday. So it was Wednesday, so she laid Saturday. I shouldn't be upset. So I came in the office Saturday night, and I just kind of poked my head around. Kind of do like you normally do. You know, you look, it's like when you're walking past your incubator, you look in, no babies, walk away. And then the one time you look in and there are babies, you kind of start walking away and you're like, wait a minute. Like and you have to double take back. So I did that where I looked, saw her, and she had already had 2 eggs. And it's like, holy shit. So I start freaking out, and I run around like an idiot, and I take that picture I sent to you guys, and she had already gotten, I think, 6 or 7 out at that point. So I'm like, I need to stop watching her. I need to go away.
Oh, she was still laying when you sent it to us?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So I left, and of course, like the whole night, I'm downstairs watching TV, and I'm like looking up at the ceiling, like over, like she's there, I'm just, and I had to promise Melissa I wouldn't go into the office and disturb her because I kept wanting to. So then we got to, like, you know, we're going to bed and stuff like that, and I like slowly open my office door, and hopefully she doesn't, like, you know, hear me creeping in, and then I run out, and I'm laying in bed, and I'm like, well, what if she doesn't wrap the eggs? She's like, she will wrap the eggs. She's not done yet. I'm like, she looked kind of done when I went in there. You went in there? No. Like it was,
So wait, here's a question.
Not
to cut you off.
Yeah.
She wrapped the eggs?
She perfect.
Were there bumps on the eggs?
No, there were no bumps on the eggs.
Damn it.
I didn't leave them there long enough, apparently.
Question.
So So I woke up at like 3 a.m. on Sunday, and I creeped in on her because I couldn't do it. And I'm like, okay, she's wrapped around the eggs. And then I go back to bed. I wake up, and I'm like, we're going to go get coffee or something like that. And Melissa's like, well, how about we go out for celebratory breakfast? And I'm like, okay. She goes, do you want to pull the eggs now? I'm like, no, we can pull the eggs when we get back. And then she's getting dressed and all that stuff, and she comes out of the bathroom, and I'm there with an egg box, and I'm like, I changed my mind. She's like, oh, of course you did. So we pulled the eggs from her. Then I was not expecting 16 freaking eggs. I mean,
really?
And all of them look perfect. All of them look perfect.
What was the clutch you had before?
5.
Okay.
They're so small. Like
really smaller than carpets.
Yeah, they're chondro eggs. Like they are small, which terrifies me even more. Like I'm like, no. I need you guys to be big. And it's funny because it's like right next to them in the incubator, the freaking olive eggs.
Oh my god!
Like olive egg, roughy egg.
Yeah, I know. I was listening to somebody talk about retic sat, and these were super dwarf retic sat, and he's like, oh yeah, they hatch out at like I think he said like 120 grams or something. I was like, what?
Dude, all my all my olive babies from last year have to go in 15 quarts now because
oh my god,
dude, like they like their first couple feedings is like hoppers or quail, and then after a couple more feedings they're able to take small mice, And once you start giving them the small mice, they just start, and I'm like, stop. Like,
Dude,
I need to,
even if you stop feeding them for a bit, they
keep
still
growing.
they
Olives
keep growing.
up.
It's just like, I'm not even feeding you.
Just
What
knock
the
it
hell's
off.
going on?
Like, yeah, dude, olives never stop, dude.
Yeah.
So, but so yeah, put the eggs in the incubator, and she is already eaten. She had two chickens already. So because she likes birds, so she's doing that. Dude, it took a lot out of her. I'll tell you that much. She needs to recoup. Which is why she may not go next year. But
I got you.
That smaller female refused food.
Okay. So maybe you're getting 2 clutches?
Maybe.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I am terrified.
Don't worry. I'll come help you feed them.
Thank you. I have.
I'll be the moral support.
Dude, I have a bag. I have a bag.
You got this, man.
I have a bag of quail chicks in my freezer, or I'm like, you will be needed soon. Like, So I am ecstatic. I was freaking out. And it was just one of those, like, you never expect it. You like I told you, you do the double take. And it's like you're thinking about it, and it's like it's the same thing that happened with the white lips. It's like, well, yeah, duh. You saw the locks. She was basking belly up.
You just don't believe it.
You knew these things coming. It's like, yeah, but I don't want to let myself believe it.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to have the gut punch of like slugs or nothing. It's like we've gotten to this point, and now I'm going to be guarded because I'm like, well, clearly all the eggs are going to crash, or clearly something else is going to happen. Right. And I'm going to absolutely hit the roof when you get the pips. I mean,
dude, when they pip out,
I can't, man. I can't.
Yeah. I remember how cool it was when you sent the pictures of the white lips pipping out.
I do. Well, that was the same thing where it was like you walk past the incubator and you're like, no. And then you peek in like, oh my God. Like, holy shit, we did it. Like,
see, to me, that is what breeding is about.
Yes.
Right? Not selling it, making the, all that stuff. Like, to me, I would just like that feeling of like walking by. I don't know if it's like because you're seeing life created or it's like, I can't believe that, like,
as cool as hatching out a carpet, but no, I'm talking like a carpet python with an insane paint job.
Sure.
As cool as that is, having something new come out of the incubator is awesome. Or having something that is been, because like you never think about that as the project. Like, you can think about it as much as you want. Like, oh, the day I see baby white lips, like you'll think about that, but you'll never be prepared for it. You'll never have it in context, and then it's there, and you're like, holy shit, it worked. Like,
and the crazy thing is that as much as as cool as white lips were for hatching out and how long you've been working on that project, there's something, I think, for me and you that's sort of like roughies are like, I think Scott said it earlier in the chat somewhere about how to even think that they would even be here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I think of and I guess this is like, I kind of like this perspective, and I feel bad for the people that don't know the hobby without roughies. It's kind of like knowing the world without the internet. You know what I mean? It's like, you don't know what it was like without the internet. And I'm glad that I got to experience both. But like the early days of the rough scales, and then like when Terry got them, and like, and then to talk to Mark O'Shea and have him tell us the story, and have that documented, which, by the way, I think that's on Field Herping, but I'm gonna have to put that up on NPR. Because
or the Patreon,
I think I gotta upload that to there, because I want to make sure that everybody has heard that episode.
Chuck onto a herp
that'll
history,
be a celebration for
there you go.
for you, Owen.
Listen, Melissa already went to be like, so how about we go out for celebratory breakfast? I'm like, all right. Like, I see what you're doing here, but
I think of like the at the Carpet Fest that was at your house, and like that was when you first got the Carpet Fest at Howard's. Remember when the Ruffies were like first there and they came from Cameron, and we were all in his bedroom like, what the fuck? It's a rough scale.
Right. And I had like $1,300 and I thought I was gonna walk away with those things, and it was like, you fucking moron. Oh my God.
Yeah.
And I was so disappointed because I kind of wanted them.
Yeah.
And like we're sitting here and like, all right, so I have to split the clutch with Brian. He's the owner of the female. Like that's
right. Yeah.
So I should get 8 babies
out
of this.
Right.
And obviously you do the split right when they hatch, because then he can do whatever he wants with his 8. I can do whatever I want with my 8.
Right.
Whatever. You think I'm selling any?
His rough scale army has
any of like this has been my dream. My army is just increased by 8.
Yes.
Like
watch how fast the wild hog goes. Get out, like, get the fuck out. Corn sticks.
You're just gonna keep seeing like these cages just creep over in the back until the whole wall is
hell
just,
yeah, man.
I'm just
that's
but it's
awesome.
Like, I think it has to be like, so the first one, like I don't know what I'm going to do when they start pipping. I don't know what I'm going to do. Probably scream my head off.
Yeah, you're going to do that.
Yeah. Well, it's like I think when the White Lips pipped last year, I was like, holy fucking shit, like screaming. And Melissa's like, what? I'm like, you know what? It's like,
I think what's cool, it was cool. It was cool for me to see it is like, and I guess this is maybe, swinging around full circle. It's like, I think I guess we take for granted sometimes like the effect of like, what it is to spend 2 hours with us every week and hear our ups and downs and struggles and happiness and sadness and, life and this and that and all the other. But like, I think that everybody without a doubt knows what that clutch means to you. Like everybody's excited for you for the White Lips, no doubt.
Yeah.
But this one, they're like, fuck yeah.
That's the thing. That's it's just like that's it. That's it. It's because, and it's also, it's like I never as good as the White Lips were, I never got White Lip eggs and then watched them bomb. Like I didn't.
Yes.
When I got to that step, the next step succeeded as well.
Yeah.
I've gotten to this point before, but it's like I gotta get to that next one. It's almost like climbing Mount Everest.
Yes.
When you look at the, like, I'm not talking about the idiots that do it now with all the ropes and ladders. I'm talking about like, Edmund Hillary and all those dudes who was like, they would climb it and they would get to a certain point and then they'd be like, we can't continue from here, and they'd go back down.
Right.
And then they wait for the next season to climb it again,
right?
Try something different, and they'd get this much closer, or they get to this point, or they went this way and it didn't go as much as they did before. So the next time they're going to come this way, but they're going to do this instead, until eventually they summited the mountain. It's like, so I'm at that point. I'm right the fuck here.
Yeah.
Come on.
When they pip, it's planting the flag.
Oh God. Yeah.
That's awesome, man. That's really awesome. It's just, I guess the equivalent for me would be Imbricata. Because number one, it's not in the US, so it's sort of in that vein to I think that was what it was so funny. Like, I think my reaction when I was at Scott and Ty's place and I saw an actual Imbricata, like, Scott was telling me later on, he was like, I just look at them as crap.
Yeah, crappets. Like, no, they're not. It's
And it was funny, and this is just something else to think about for people that are kind of getting burned out or whatever. I think he said something along the lines of like, my excitement for those snakes like really made him take a step back to think, wow, maybe I don't appreciate them as much as I should. You know what I mean?
That's what you sometimes you got to have friends over. Like just have over, have a beer, have some dinner. Like I was talking to Melissa. She's like, "What do you want to do?"
You got whiskey.
Yeah. Well, she's like, "What do you want to do when you have your friends over and stuff like that?" I'm like, I'd be cool if we just went and got a bunch of freaking pizzas, like food.
Yeah.
Like, walk over
Hang
to the
out.
park, see what's up. I don't give a shit. But then it's like, oh, hang out in the snake room. We'll pull animals out. It's fine. Because when you have people that don't have your animals or don't like, they kind of help you appreciate them more.
Yeah. Yeah. Because when he pulled out I was like, dude, I'm like grabbing Keith and Rob. I was like, that's fucking ricotta, man. It's a ricotta. It's right there.
Yeah.
Holy shit. You want to see the perenni? Fuck the perenni.
Fuck the perenni.
Look at Dave Ricotta.
Forget the goddamn perenni. All right, it's a lizard. Next.
Yes. Who cares?
Yeah, we've seen that.
It was pretty cool though. But yeah,
I mean, they are.
Who cares?
They are the most gorgeous. Yeah.
All of them. That's awesome, man. Well, so I mean, so what do we got? What is it? 55 days?
Yeah. 55 days.
Okay.
I marked it 60 just because that's what I always do.
So 60 days is what? Where would we be?
June 29th.
July?
No. Wait.
Beginning of July? End of June? Beginning of July?
No, because she laid in April technically. So she was April 29th. So we'd be June 29th. So end of June, early July.
Okay. There
you
go. Yeah, that would be end of July. End of June.
End of June. It'd be a hell of a birthday present for myself.
There you go.
Myself.
You see a little head bob out.
Oh my god, no.
Those eyes, man. Their eyes are so cool when they're oh my god, they're so cool.
Yeah. I don't know what no. It's gonna be a lot of pictures. It's gonna be stupid. Yeah. And like I said,
Owen's just gonna be doing jazz hands all the
time. Screaming, just screaming. Yeah.
Running around carpet fest.
Well, it's just gonna be so weird. What's gonna be even worse? It's gonna be like, no, this room must be made for the rough scale babies, and like all the other animals show up. Yeah. Like I'm pretty sure I'm gonna bring up the babies and just set them up here. So
yeah, you will.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, you will.
Yeah.
You'll be doing NPR, just like pulling out, like, oh
yeah. Look at the little guy.
Baby.
Yeah. 2, 4, 6. Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah, no more. I won't be able to get any more animals because quarantine's going to be full of rough scale babies. Oh,
there you go.
Yeah, there it is. That's what finally stops the bus from rolling. Yeah.
So no pop ones. We're not going to.
We've already talked. I don't have the room for pop ones.
Yeah.
Oh, are we talking Papuan pythons or ugly carpets?
No,
all right. I do not have the room for Papuans. I've already overextended myself to the point where I really want Argentines, and I think with the purchase of I think the purchase of the Argentines is what's going to make me decide what to do with some of the bigger animals. It's like, listen, this retic's fun, but like Argentines more fun. So,
by the way,
yeah.
I stumbled. I guess I became unsubscribed to. I go through phases where I subscribe and unsubscribe, but I sent it to you today. Dave Kaufman had a video on Madagascar boas and then Madagascar hognose, and is like, it says, "Are we keeping them correctly?" And I sent it to Owen. I was like. Owen, I don't think you were talked to in this thing here, so I don't know if this is accurate information.
I didn't even watch it, man. Yeah. Like
I mean, you produced them how many times? Riley produced them once.
Riley got the one clutch, which I have the female from that clutch,
right?
That Riley gave me, and she had eggs last month.
So was Riley the first one to produce them?
No, I don't think Riley's the.
No, they've been produced before, but they're not produced like on the regular, right?
They're not. No, I don't think they were ever. I think there were some people that had groups or pairings that produced on the regular. Right. Riley is definitely the one that kind of laid the groundwork for producing them regularly, and also with his cohab thing is what got people really interested in them. So Riley did that.
Right.
And then
And
Riley,
then he gave you his animals.
yes,
Right?
Riley had Riley had male. Riley had a trio and then a captive born and bred female. So he had 2.2.
I got
And
you.
he got tired of them like shitting up a wall, which they do. That does
Yeah, that
happen.
would kind of get old.
And trust me, I don't like it either.
Pythons
So,
will do that.
yeah. Pythons don't do that. Yeah.
Right.
So he sent them over here, but I will tell you straight up that everything I do with those, I got from him. So
Right. So you just followed what he did.
I just follow what he does. They're just over here. I did mix up our stuff because I had a pair, and then when Riley's 2.2 arrived, I kind of mixed them up into trios. So I have my male with his 2 wild caught females. I'm sorry, with one of his wild caught females and the captive born and bred girl, and then I have my wild caught or captive hatched female with his wild caught male and his wild caught female. So those are the trios. This way, everybody that comes out is unrelated. So, but yeah, dude, I have 28 eggs right now.
Holy shit.
I have 3 clutches of 8. The one female I don't think is going to go, and she's a proven female from last year.
You're probably not.
I'm okay with it.
You're not sad with that.
I'm
right?
okay with it. No, dude, 21 out of the 20 or so babies I produced last year, I have 3 left.
Right.
And I have not put them on Morph Market. I've put them on my website, but people tend to just find me and they're like, I heard you're the guy to talk to about Madagascar hogs. And I'm like, yeah.
And here we are full circle, right? Because here we are, what we talked about at the beginning is that if you do something that you love and you love this, like some people probably don't even know about the species or even that there is a hognose in Madagascar, right? They're like, what are you talking about?
There are 3.
Are in, exactly.
Which I still have to do. I have the, I got the clutch of blondes last year.
Right.
And they bombed. Like those babies, I could not get feeding. The ones I did get feeding up and died shortly thereafter. So 3 out of the 10 made it. They're all females, but it's like I should probably list you guys and get you gone. They just they went from frog scented pinks to chicken scented pinks.
Okay, we're making progress.
Or chicken scented fuzzies. I'm gonna actually just try non-scented and then see if they take it. If they take it, awesome. If not, I'll just give them some chick ones. But it's like the same thing with rhinos. It's like I'll fish scent until I'm like, I don't feel like doing it today. Figure it out, and then they eat it, and I'm like, hooray! Like you've graduated. So,
but speaking of rhinos, by the way, just want to put this in there: rhinos do not double clutch.
Rob told you that?
Yes.
Good.
Yes, he did. I think we talked about it on a pod. I don't know, remember where we talked about it, but remember I was asking, like, do all colubrids double clutch?
You asked. Who did you ask that?
I don't remember.
Was it
but
Tony? You said, do all colubrids double clutch? And I was like, I don't think I'd do it with a rhino. Like it was.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Rob's like, no.
That's right. Because I thought.
Like,
well, because I told you.
I can't remember what show that is, but they're like, no.
Well, like because it was last year I learned that the Chinese king rats could double clutch because I went to clean her cage and she had a bunch of eggs. I'm like, where the fuck did these come from?
Right.
So,
yeah. So. Okay, so I just wanted to make sure that people had that info. They do not.
They do not. Please don't try. Yeah.
Right. So, all right. That's awesome, man. Major congrats.
Thank you.
I'm sure the rest of the way will be smooth sailing, and can't wait to see those babies pip out a month before Carpet Fest.
Yeah. My incubator's now in my laundry room. So I've been doing a lot of laundry lately just so I can, be near them. So just
as close as I can.
Just as close as I can to them. Yeah.
My precious.
It's okay, babies. Mother's here. Yeah. So it's.
Oh, that's great. Just have a picture of you on the window so they get used to just the face of a monkey being on the window.
I think the problem is that like so we're getting to the point where the incubator is getting kind of full. So
Uh-huh.
I think I stacked bins of carpet pythons like up here so that the roughies could be right
Right.
here on
Have
the
their
one
own shelf.
shelf, right?
The
Just so I
perfect
could
zone.
see them, yeah, like right in the area. So it's like
Coastal crappets.
jungle carpets. You guys get up there. It's like,
Yeah.
you'll hatch soon anyway. Yeah.
You guys are quitting. You know it. What? We're quitting.
What?
What are we quitting?
Always quitting. Oh, because the night's still young. No, listen. He did like a 4-hour podcast the other night, and
that went for a long time.
Yeah, dear God.
Like, I don't shut up.
3-4 hours. It's like the dude's like, all right, we should stop talking. You're like, and another thing. It's like, oh God. Yeah.
So I guess we'll be back on track, and Owen's going herping this weekend. Yep. I'm going to be away in Utah in 12 days. So I'm pretty excited about that. We got Carpet Fest coming up.
We can't do a carpets and coffee this week because Lucas is still on tour.
I think he's back, but he's probably got to dig through his
womas, those woma babies. Yeah. So we try doing that, but then so maybe we'll do a carpet because you said you're in Utah next week, so we'll try to maybe do a
Mother's Day. I leave Mother's Day.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right.
So we could do it next week.
We'll do it next week. We'll do it next week. And then we'll talk about herping and all that stuff when I get back, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, I think I don't know who my next guest is, but I have some ideas. It's going to be a Python person.
Cool.
Yeah, rattlesnakes. That's my list for the U.S. Right? Obviously, pythons around the world, but I want to see all the different rattlesnakes in the U.S. Why not? That's our thing. That's our thing, man.
Yeah,
that's our thing.
I'm a little nervous about going to Jersey. I don't know, like I don't be tick infested Jersey.
So. Yeah, they said the ticks are bad this year.
Damn it!
Just put your pants in your.
Don't put goddamn duct tape up my legs, dude. Sticky's that out. Like, no, man.
Remember Rob? They were just crawling on his shoes up his legs.
Like,
like, what the hell, man? How can you people live like blood. This? Yeah, there's marijuana in the blood, even if you don't smoke, right?
Sweet Colorado blood. Yeah, they were after him. Yeah, but I told you, like the one time we came back from the Pine Barrens, like I took a shower and then I'm like sitting on the sofa, and this was like hours after. And I just feel one crawling up my knee, and I'm like, mother, like, no,
yes, I heard it's a bad season for ticks this year.
Right.
So,
all right. So
that's why I think I'm starting to love the desert, man.
Yeah, there's no ticks in the desert. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, there's those weird ticks, aren't there? Where it's like if you get bit by them, you can't eat meat anymore.
Listen. Everything in the desert is designed anymore.
What?
Yeah, but the problem is that everything in the desert is designed to stab you. So it's like, there are no ticks. But I walked into that plant and now I'm bleeding.
I remember when we were out in California and Rob had this spike that went through his shoe and into his foot.
He kept
like
talking
doing
about
surgery.
That. Like, Jesus. What the You guys were looking for snakes and Rob got knifed by nature.
Yeah, he's pulling out this cactus thorn out of his
no.
Went through his shoe.
No.
Oh, that's awesome. So does the duct tape work? Like, do you duct tape it because you're sealing it, or you duct tape it because the ticks are going to crawl under the duct tape and die?
You wrap it sticky side out. So what happens is they crawl up it, and then they're just like, no, and you're like, yeah.
So it's like the mice board or the glue boards for ticks.
It's like the tape shit they put on trees for the lantern flies. Like, yeah.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I forgot about that. Okay, all right, that's a good move. I'm
gonna be duct taped from the neck down.
Yeah. And then there's chiggers. Yeah, that's they get under your skin, right? Those things.
No.
No.
I mean, they do, but I don't want to deal with them. No. Yeah.
Oh no. Yeah. Hell no. Who wants that?
No.
Bugs digging in under your skin and like giving you you itch yourself and shit.
Well, there was something where somebody showed things to worry about with tick season. Is they showed like the inside of their dog's mouth, and the tick had gone up the canine into the gum, and like you can see the tick, the butt of the tick just sticking out right in the gum line. It's like, well, fuck you. That's just not fair. So
yeah, that's rough. Jeez.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Well, hopefully you don't get bit by ticks. And
Lyme disease is a fun thing. Let's try to avoid it. Yeah.
Yeah, try to avoid that.
Yep.
There'll be no quitting for Lyme disease.
No,
I mean, there's other things we can quit for, but Lyme disease is not in the contract.
You got your week off, and I expect you front center. All right.
That's right.
Yeah.
Lyme disease. What are you, a baby?
In my day, they threw DDT at us, and we kept going.
That's right.
Yeah.
So, and there's a Texas Carpet Fest.
Yes.
They just announced. Let me get the date for that so that I can... I think it's October 10th. Wait, hold on. Here we go. Just make sure I have it. I want to say I might be in Florida.
I will be in Scotland.
Scotland?
Yeah.
No shit.
Yeah.
Going back to the home range, huh?
Yeah. Yeah. I couldn't convince her that a fun honeymoon idea was wandering through the bush of Australia. But so yeah.
So Texas Carpet Fest 2023 is October 14th. And it's at Reptilandia in Johnson City, Texas.
Damn it.
Right. I know.
Oh.
And our Carpet Fest, the OG, is... I keep screwing this one up too.
August 12th.
August 12th.
August 12th.
Yes. Yeah, it's a Saturday in Warminster, PA. So
make a list of shit that we need to do, and I've already have at least 5 people that we can descend upon your house and do shit.
Yeah, I might have to call up Chris Salemi again.
I'm talking Chris Salemi forced human labor. I'll even bring Jim. He'll sit in a chair with a Rolling Rock and be like, "You're doing great." Like, Tom, that's good job.
Motivation.
He is management. Yeah.
Yeah, so I got a lot to do. I got trees to cut down. I got to open the pool, which is all normal shit I got to do. I got to fix the fence. I got to, oh my God. I got to put a floor in my basement.
Yeah. Get the floor shit. Pick a weekend. I will show up with a team of people.
Maybe that's what we have. A pre-Carpet Fest party to do the work to get it set.
The shit. Right. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. We go. Now we're talking.
By team of people, I mean other buddy. So yeah.
Right on.
Yep.
So yeah, we got Carpet Fest going again. That's cool to see a couple of them going. I think though, yeah, I might be a bummer. We're gonna herp the Everglades this year because Australia price tickets are just too high. So
yeah, I got a thing. They were like 1,200 from
Sydney.
Round trip.
I got it
to Sydney. Yeah, it's like
Sydney.
But nobody wants to go to Sydney. Shut up.
It's in Sydney. People, I want to see snakes.
Nothing's in Sydney.
Wait a minute. Francis hasn't been here the whole time. Hasn't made one comment until you said that.
Listen.
All of a sudden he shows up.
Listen, I have actual magical powers when it comes to other buddy, okay?
Wow.
So if you say his name, he will appear. It's awesome.
He appears.
You have to just you have to use it responsibly.
Right.
You know, can't just say it all the time.
Well, I hope that we bummed you out in the beginning, but we brought you back up at the end. So
as with most NPR episodes, we just kind of just throttled you down, and then hopefully a little bit of a nice perk.
You don't know what the highs feel like unless you feel those goddamn gut blows. So all right, we will be back next week, and as soon as I figure out how to get, we got a bunch of Patreon stuff that I got to put up, and as soon as I figure out how to do it.
Right.
We got the Casey one. We got who was the one? We got the Tony one that we had. We talked about.
Yep.
We got the one. There's another one too that I have to put up. So there's like 3 extra episodes to put up there. So as soon as I figure it out, I'll make it happen. I think you can do it with Apple or Spotify. We have personal podcast. I'm trying to figure it out, but I promise it'll.
We'll figure it out. Yeah, we'll find it.
Right. Anything else? Visit the website, reptile.radio.com. And you know the stuff. Follow us on the things. Subscribe to us on YouTube. And come and hang with us for the live streams. If you have any questions or comments or things you want us to talk about, info@moreliapythonradio.com. We got the swag store, and we also got a Patreon that you can check out. And don't forget about Cold-Blooded Caffeine.
Nope.
Love those guys. We talked about a lot of coffee, which
Yeah.
I quite enjoyed, but
Yeah.
it was all coffee on the last Carpets and Coffee. Finally, we had made up for the non-coffee talk.
Yeah, we all
for
the times
many
we
years.
didn't talk about coffee. Yeah.
Yeah. But we have a referral link that you can go and check it out. We have the Carpets and Coffee blend over there. Those guys are great. Is Melissa going to host Northeast Carpet Fest? Yeah, go to Owens, Francis. That's where Carpet Fest is at.
He's not allowed to enter my house without permission. He's like a vampire.
So, I gotcha. Every time he's got to get new permission.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's the rule. Yeah,
that's terrible.
Yeah.
Sorry for your sorry for your loss there, Francis. It's because you have too many chondros. That's
why. First thing he says to me is, which chondro am I going to cross with one of my roughies to make the battle chondro? So I might throw something at him later.
Carpets and IPAs. There we go.
Yep.
I think that's everything. So until next time, man. Go ahead, Owen. You sign it off.
All right. So that's all we got for everybody this week. We'll say thanks everybody for being here. Thanks for listening. And we'll catch everybody back here next week for some more Morelia Python Radio. Good night.